Hi, welcome to my plan with me for April 2026. So this one is quite late. I think it's the latest that I've ever put a video out. And that's largely because of, well, pretty much this. I haven't been inspired by the theme. That's a little bit of it. But more importantly than not being inspired by the theme is I've had a massive client project that has really taken all of my creative thought processes, and I just haven't had the energy for it. So don't underestimate how much having to set up to film drawing this is actually a barrier to sometimes doing my bullet journal, because it really is at times. So I sort of had to think about it. So snails, not entirely sure why I chose the theme, but, I did a couple of snails in my oracle cards and thought, that'd be a nice little theme, and I could do them, I could do like a little scene with like mushrooms and stuff, and was thinking of it all as a detailed thing. And then we get to the month where it is the theme and my brain's like, can't do no more, please stop. So I thought, well, I can do like a bit of a really simple snail pattern, but also do like the spiral shell design that I've done in other things as well. That's actually one of the things I really enjoy drawing. For my saying, I was thinking of putting "We're living in the dumbest timeline," which is a thing that I did sort of in an art journal a couple of years ago. And I'm like, it's not even the dumbest timeline. This is just the worst timeline. But yeah. Then I thought, maybe I want to be a little bit more positive than that. My bullet journal is supposed to try and keep me a little bit more positive. So over Easter, we went hunting for mushrooms to start taking photos and found some of those. So I thought, no, I could always do a thing with mushroom season. And then my brain went, then we're going to have to draw mushrooms. And do you really have that in you? And I'm like, ugh. So then I'm like, do I do something about, what's going on with cars? Just don't ask. Just really don't ask. And thought, I know. So I have come up with something. I went hunting for a quote about snails. And so I do have something in here. But yeah, it sort of took a bit to get things going and get my brain moving. So as you can see, this is an entirely blank page, and I normally don't start with a blank page because I end up doing things that I'm not happy with. And guess what? I'm not happy. I'm just not happy with how the month title came out. Just, I had an idea in my head and I didn't really sort of think about it too hard. And the minute that I sort of finished the A, I'm like, oh, no, this isn't going to work, but pushed ahead anyway. And it's not bad, but I'm just not really happy with it. So that's life. That's how it works. I decided that what I would do, I would put April on the right-hand side and then do basically a pattern of little snails, just nice, simple things, and then a couple of slightly larger, slightly more detailed snails on top. And then on the left-hand side, I'll do some of those spirals. So you'll see that as we go through. March was very busy, and like I said, this piece of client work was a lot. It was already going to be a lot, and then they're like, oh, could you maybe also do this part of it? And I'm like, yeah, sure, of course I can. And don't get me wrong, I've loved doing the work, and I'm really happy with what I produced for it. And a whole heap of it is internal and you will never get to see it. But there is one part that should be made public. So when that happens, I will share it on my social media. But yeah, it happens a lot where I do work that I really enjoy and it's only ever for internal use. And I go like, it's a bit disappointing that I don't get to share that. But hey, that's how things work. So yeah, that's taken a lot of my creative energy and time. Plus, stress doesn't really help with creating either. And look, the world's a burning ball of hell at the moment. So, on a macro level, World War III hasn't been that fantastic. I've got, a few things like car struggles. And I understand that some of the things that are, making, like the decisions we're having to make and things we're having to do, I'm in a really privileged position about it because we do have the funds to be able to sort these things out, but it doesn't make them actually less stressful because, you accommodate to the level of stress in your life. And yeah, is it as stressful as other people's lives at the moment? No, but it's my life and then my stresses that I have to deal with. So I forgot before I started watercolouring that, yes, that pen, it's one of my favourite pens to use, but the ink is not water resistant. So for the last two of these, I used significantly less water, and that means it doesn't run as much. You get a little bit of bleeding, but not very much. But yeah, the first one's a little bit muddy, which I think adds to the effect of it. So I'm not like annoyed about it. It's just like the minute I put the first bit down, I went, oh, that's right, that pen isn't water resistant. Damn it. So yeah. So you see that like I've done blue on the left-hand side, and then on the right-hand side, it's going to be all browns, oranges, and green. I don't know why, but these shapes, so the ones on the left-hand side, I really enjoy doing. Like they're really fun. Give them a go. They're very, very easy to do, but I think they're quite effective. But I always think of them as being aquatic. Like for some reason, I think of them as being in water. So that's why the left-hand side is blue. And then on the right-hand side, snails, they're all land snails. So it's getting grass. It's getting green. And then the colours that I've chosen for April, which you'll see in a minute, because it is autumn here now in Australia, I've chosen sort of autumnal colours for that. So yeah, that's sort of what's going on with the title page. So yeah, April has been just as busy. Like I've literally finished the last bit of that work on Sunday. So yeah, it's been just as busy. And yeah, it's been interesting. It's been interesting for us at home because Derek, my partner, is on long service leave. And so I've been working all the hours and he's been like, okay, well, I'm going to go off and go for a walk here. And I'm like, okay, have fun. So, yeah, hopefully now that that project is finished, I can start to do a couple of things with him, which will be nice. I'm going straight into another project, but it's not quite as full on as the one I've just finished. So that's quite nice. And look, it's nice having client work. I'm never going to complain about having client work. It's just, it's just the reasoning as to why I'm not as creative in my own time when I use all that creativity for clients. And I've said that a million times before, like, yeah, just have. So I went through and like you saw, I struggled with what saying am I going to put in here? And then I went, oh, let's see if there's any interesting fun quotes about snails. And this one came up and I'm like, actually, yeah, I sort of feel this a bit at the moment with some things that are going on in my life. So in philosophy, if you aren't moving at a snail's pace, you aren't moving at all. And yeah, I quite like that. I like sort of like that thought of, if you're speeding through, then you're not being considerate. You're not really growing. You're not really being, aware and reflective enough to really sort of take time with what's going on in your world, what that means, the impacts and everything else is how I interpret that. So that was Iris Murdoch. And yeah, I thought that was quite cute. So I decided that it would be my quote for this month. And of course, instead of writing snail, I've drawn a snail because why not? They're fun to draw. So yeah. I will do all I need to make sure that I get May done before the end of April, because May's going to be a little bit of a crazy month. So I really need to be sort of using my bullet journal more. It's one of those things that it sort of wasn't too bad for me not to have this done, because the beginning of April was just really a singular focus. So this is my bullet journal for April 2026. I hope that you have had a nice March and a nice April to date. And yeah, I really hope that you are staying safe, sane, and all those things as much as you possibly can in our current world climate. Thank you for being here, and I will see you in a couple of weeks. Bye.